This presentation will give you a basic look at what goes into a program needs analysis and why you should even bother to do one. We're first going to examine the purpose of the program needs analysis. A lot of times in my job, people come up to me and they tell me, we need a video. Lots of times these people want a video and they think they need it. However, when I get to talking to them, I find that that's not always the case. They don't necessarily need it. The program needs analysis, the PNA, helps us to figure out whether want and need are really the same thing. Remember that it's not the medium that solves the problem. Having a video is not necessarily important. It's the message that matters. The medium is the tool that's going to help you convey that message. The PNA helps to examine what the best tool for the job might be. Your PNA is going to examine the problem, the background of this problem and the organization, the objectives, the audience, and finally, the utilization. The first step in creating a PNA is to examine what the problem is to be solved and to develop objectives. Let's start with first, what is the problem? Remember, the goal of your project should be to solve this problem, not just to create a project because it would be cool to have, which is a real reason I've gotten from some people. It would be cool to have a video. You want to make sure that you're spending all this time and effort to actually solve a problem. A media project like a video might be the best way. But you also want to examine if the problem could be solved through another method, like a brochure or a training manual. You want to look and see if the problem is simple enough to be solved by a video, or are there a lot of details that might require a manual with indexes? Is it too complicated for a video? You also want to examine your time frame. When does this need to be accomplished? If it's immediate, you may not have time to produce and implement a video. Also remember when describing the problem not to insult the client. You want to be honest, but phrase the information in a way that establishes the problem without degrading the work of your client. Once you have the problem established, you want to examine what your objectives are going to be. Now, the purpose of the objectives is that once the objectives have been met, the goal would have been met and the problem is solved. These objectives can be instructional or motivational. We will go into an objectives presentation for more in depth later. Next, you want to look at any background information that might be necessary to understand this situation and the organization and the audience it's trying to reach. The background information should include what the organization currently does. What practices are they currently using? What have they tried in the past? And essentially any other information that would be good to know about the problem and organization. You might put here any kind of research findings that don't fit anywhere else but seem relevant. Next, you want to thoroughly examine the audience. This is a very important section because it focuses on the primary people you are trying to reach. There also may be a secondary audience, but you really want to look at the primary target. There will be an audience presentation for more details. Lastly, you want to look at how the medium will be used to achieve the objectives. So examine, where is this project going to be used? Will it be a standalone piece or is it part of a larger presentation? How will it be used? Will it be a DVD that a group watches, or is it a web video that will be available on the LAN that someone just pops up individually? When will it be used? Is this a one-time viewing, or is it going to be available for multiple views so a person could use it as reference? You want to include all possible uses and situations. When you're finished, your completed analysis should contain the following. The first thing is that it should look at the problem that needs to be solved. Second, you want to present the background information on the organization and the problem. Third, you want to list the objectives that need to be accomplished by this project. Fourth, you want to present relevant audience analysis. research on who you're trying to target. And lastly, you want to present your plan for utilization. How and where is this project going to be used? Now, I've read a lot of student PNAs in the past, and so I have some suggestions just to pass along to you. One is that I will provide you with examples of PNAs, and your book gives you an example of a needs analysis. But these are just examples. They're just ideas. You don't necessarily have to follow this exact format. Organize the information however you need and present it in an organized fashion, of course, but it doesn't have to mimic what you see online and in the text. Another thing is that, remember, this is business writing. It's not for an academic paper or a newspaper article. You don't need to embellish. It should be very simple and to the point. You don't want to skimp on the details, but you want to make it as concise as possible. It should be well organized. Someone should be able to easily skim through the analysis to find the section that they need. You may want to have different headings for the different sections that are clear and stick out right away. So if you want to find the audience section, you can quickly skim. Bulleted points work well. You want to be thorough, mainly in this PNA. You want to give enough information that a stranger would be able to understand the problem and what needs to be accomplished. In this project, you are going to be doing everything from the initial idea to all the research to the final video. However, think of this as just being part of the overall project. Maybe you're going to pass off this PNA to someone else to come up with an idea and to write it. So you want to make sure that, essentially by the end, I will understand what it is, and maybe from there I could come up with ideas. For more information on a program needs analysis, please refer to your textbook. In your textbook, it gives you some descriptions of what the sections should be, and it also provides pretty good examples. I also have online examples in Blackboard from past projects that students have allowed me to use. You could use them to see different styles. Lastly, there are two other presentations that get into more detail for the objectives and also for the audience.